Hello, we are the students of Fast Newses, and today in this video we will be discussing development or disparity. In this video we will be discussing decade of development, trade policy directing industrialization, foreign aid, the private sector and the inequalities. Starting with the decade of development, it was the period from 1958 to 1969 under the rule of Ayub Khan. Few people considered this period as the reign of failure as they believed that it had contributed to income and regional disparities, while on the other hand it was considered as the decade of development. This period is known as the decade of development because it brought some great growth rates in the Pakistani economy, like agriculture saw a rise from 4% in late 50s to 6.2% by the end of 1960s, large-scale manufacturing from 5.6% in late 50s to 10.4% by the end of decade, banking and insurance rose from 12.9% to 16.9%, and GDP grew from 5.5% to 7.2%. During the mid-60s, all these sectors recorded even higher numbers, with agriculture rising to 11.7%, large-scale manufacturing to 16.9%, banking and insurance a whopping 37.9%, and GDP to 9.4%. In the first half of 1960s, overall investment had risen to 18% of GNP, and savings had doubled between 1945 to 1965. However, these highs invited several controversies as well, with the main ones being the disparities in regional income of provinces, concentration of industrial power, and income inequality. Real wages had also failed to increase significantly. The major factors which led to the development and industrialization in the era of 1958 to 1969 are the change in the trade policies, foreign aid, and privatization. We will start from the trade policies. Some critical steps were taken regarding the trade policies, which were the prime movers, like new trade policies were introduced, which shifted away from direct control to indirect control on imports on domestic price of other goods. As the number of measures were taken in import licensing, that made market forces more important. In addition, the earlier closed and the selective import licensing scheme of 1950s was replaced in 1961 by the open general license, which allowed newcomers to enter the trading market. A large amount of foreign exchange was allocated to the OGI and given the beyond nature of trade and the economy, which allowed the new traders to make substantial profit and gains. The most market-friendly change was the introduction of the free list, which permitted the import of certain goods without any license. The tariff structure continued to be used as signaling device, but the differential in the tariffs rate structure widened, with the rates for consumer goods rising much more than other goods. Also, the bias against producing machinery and equipment locally continued, as the import duty on these items was still the lowest, thus making it easier to import these goods rather than producing them at homes. In 1965, the free list suffered serious setbacks as foreign aid was shortened, and due to resulting foreign exchange squeeze, the import liberalization policies were abandoned and many new import controls were introduced. The export bonus scheme was inaugurated in 1959, considered to be key in the import liberalization process in Pakistan. It was a flexible and fascinating device which was used to both subsidize export and to allow a safety valve on imports while maintaining basic structure of import controls on vast majority of imports and while maintaining at the same time the official exchange rate at its existing level. The bonus scheme was a form of altering the term of sales of exports in such a fashion that exports become more attractive to producers at an unchanged official rate of exchange. On the import side, the scheme created a small sector within the economy in which some foreign exchange is sold on virtual free. Foreign aid contributed significantly to Pakistan's growth from late 50s. Without foreign aid, rapid development could not have been possible in Pakistan. In the mid-1960s, the entire social and economic system that had been built up was heavily supported by and sustained through foreign assistance. The system which operated in Pakistan came very close to being what we can term a foreign aid-dependent regime, in which the mechanics of industrial growth were in one way or another dependent on foreign aid inflows. Once these aid inflows slowed down, the system not being able to replace foreign aid with other form of external finance like direct foreign investment and without the peculiar boost to profitability associated with the local system of dispensing aid. Pakistan's industrial experience from 1950s to the mid-1960s is considered to be a success story of private enterprise. The foreign aid played a crucial role in the creation of favorable conditions and had a direct impact on the private sector of Pakistan. Now, talking about the arguments against a period of development, then many people believe that this period caused some major problems, like it gave a rise to income and regional disparities. According to the critics, 22 families had all the resources and they controlled the 66% of industrial assets, 70% of insurance assets, and 80% of total banking assets. And 44 group of companies known as the monopoly group had monopoly over various economic. Although in this era there was a great economic concentration, but there was no substantial increase in the level of the real wages, and this doctrine was one of the major factors in Ayub's downfall. There was a group known as Harvard Advisory Group in Ayub's era which ran Pakistan Planning Commission. They deliberately created functional income inequality as tool for economic growth by applying concept of social utility of greed. In this way, they offered high profit margin and made economy attractive for those having more capital, and they believed this way they could make more employment opportunities, and hence the economy will grow and later will start trickling to working class as well. In conclusion, I would say that overall period of Ayub era had both pros and cons, but we can't deny the fact that it caused great growth in the country economically.